And we're joined now by attorney and coordinator at Judges Matter, Alison Tilley, to talk further about Judges Matter's call for the suspension and immediate removal, if you will, of Pretoria High Court Judge Portia Phahlane, who was arrested last night in connection with alleged bribery. Phahlane, along with her son Kagiso, Vusi Soli Ndala, and church leader Bhekumzi Michael Sadlana were arrested by the Hawks and made an appearance in the Pretoria Specialised Commercial Crimes Court on charges of money laundering. It's to do with the ongoing succession battle at the IPHC church. Let's bring into the conversation Alison. Good to see you as always on SABC News. So we don't have a shortage, do we, of shocking news headlines, but this particular one does not do the judiciary's reputation any justice, especially at a time when it's under such intense scrutiny.
No, it's a really shocking development. It's a really sad day, and I'm really disappointed that we end up where we are, talking about how to deal with the situation where there's a criminal charge, against the judge and a judge appearing in the dock. I mean, it really is a very sad moment.
You've called for Judge Phahlane basically to step aside while all of this is unfolding. If she does not choose to do that, and I say that because from her affidavit I've gathered that she's basically said this is part of some sort of vendetta linked to the church succession battle. If she does not step aside voluntarily, whose responsibility is it now to act against her?
Well, it goes directly to the JSC. And it's their job, wherever it appears to them that there are reasonable grounds to suspect that a judge is guilty of gross misconduct, what we would call impeachable gross misconduct. The Commission has to ask the Chief Justice to appoint a tribunal and then advise the President as to the desirability of suspending the judge. So those are the words taken directly from the section, and we can only say that we think that section is immediately of relevance, and the JSC should convene immediately and really advise the Chief Justice on the need for a tribunal, and then, advise the President as to suspension, which we have to say we think is suitable in this situation.
And the judge is yet to stand trial, so we're dealing with allegations at the moment. But do you expect the damage then, as I was saying earlier, to the reputation of the judiciary is going to be long-lasting?
I think the number of conduct matters that we've seen has been tremendously concerning. And we've seen a number, and I think people have really been asking, and quite fairly, is that, is this a trend? Why are there so many conduct cases? And I think our answer has been, well, it's really necessary to have accountability systems. But I don't think we anticipated that there would be the number of matters, and also a matter like this where there is a criminal charge and a judge is literally in the dock. It's something that is very concerning and we think has to be acted on immediately.
And if we have indeed, Alison, underestimated the depths of corruption in the country's judiciary, on our court system as a whole, will a process like the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which is dealing with matters in the same vein, be ultimately able to unearth the full extent of the problem, do you think?
Well, I think that's always a difficult question, because the full extent of the problem is really it's something that you speculate about. That's why we always say, look, if there's a matter, if there's charges, if there's case, if there's evidence, don't let it remain in the realm of speculation. Put it to the JSC. If it's a criminal matter, it must come to the courts through the police and the NPA, and that's certainly what we've called for, and we've seen now that Judge Ledwaba, it seems, will give evidence before Madlanga. So those are matters in front of Madlanga, and they're now in front of the criminal courts. Mm-hmm. I'm not aware of any others that have arisen from the Madlanga Commission as yet. We have been told that there are, a number of cases, but again, we really need the evidence, and we need it in the proper forum. So whether it's a criminal court or the JSC, that's how it's got to go.
How prepared, though, is the system that governs the conduct of judges and magistrates in this country to be able to detect the sort of thing that's being alleged here? I mean, in this IPHC matter, for instance, it's alleged that Judge Phahlane received bribes of more than 2 million rand, and you have to wonder how long, if it is indeed true, that would have had to have gone on for, seemingly with no one in the system picking it up.
Well, there's a couple of answers to that, and or parts to that question. I think are there enough resources in the conduct system? No. We know that's under-resourced, and given the number of matters now, it's going to have to be strengthened. There's also, of course, the question of whether or not the Madlanga Commission then has the evidence, and how that will work its way through to the JSC, because that's where it's got to go. There's another element that I think we need to look at is when judges are appointed, are there question marks over their financial situation? And frankly, that's not something the JSC has gotten into. And we have recently had a judge a person who wanted to become a judge who was literally under debt review. And I think that's something that we have to ask questions about as well. Are we appointing people who are in a situation where, for one reason or another, they're open to being bribed?
But that's perhaps easier to detect than just pure greed and a criminal, basically, in the system.
That is inarguably true. Where we see those kinds of claims, it's difficult to know what more could be done. The JSC certainly isn't in a position to do kind of inquiries, investigation. They don't have that capacity.
Okay.
If we're looking for people who are guilty of corruption, it's probably got to lie with the police and the National Prosecuting Authority.
Alison Tilley, always a pleasure to talk to you. Alison, by the way, is an attorney as well as coordinator at Judges Matter.